Good afternoon, Texans. Today is October 14, 2013, and you are watching the Texan Sports Minute with this sports fanatic, Trevor Peele. It was one of the best weekends in sports history that was full of exciting games. Some of the top stories are number 21 Texans make second half comeback, Texans fall in San Angelo, Red River blowout, and Dallas Cowboys tied for first place. The Tarleton Texans are halfway through their schedule and sit at a perfect 5-0. Finally, 5 games into the season, we have the first home game. It was a top 25 Division II matchup with number 4 West Texas A&M taking on number 21 Tarleton Texans. The stands were extra packed because it was Parents' Weekend for the college. As the game kicked off, Tarleton's first play from scrimmage was a fumble by Jerome Regal. The Buffs quickly converted it into 6 points with a pass from Dustin Vaughn, 7 yards to Jace Jackson. The extra point would get blocked. Tarleton on its next possession drove downfield but ended up settling for a field goal, making the score 6-3 Buffs. That would be all that Tarleton would score in the first half. West Texas, on the other hand, weren't finished. Aaron Harris would run in the score from 1 yard out. The extra point would be good. On the next possession, the Buffs would pick off the Aaron Doyle pass and convert it into points with a 5-yard run from Jeremy Aldridge. The Texans still had no answer on the defense or offensive side. The Buffs would then put together a 12-play, 80-yard drive capped off by a 6-yard completion from Vaughn to A. Johnson. As the halftime horn sounded, the players headed for the locker rooms and many fans headed for the exits as the Texans were down 3-27. In the first half, the Texans couldn't stop the offense of West Texas and couldn't get the offense of their own team moving. The second half was a different story. At the 7:57 mark, the Texans would score on a 16-play, 90-yard drive, finished off with Doyle punching in the ball and giving the Texans their first touchdown of the game from 1 yard. The Buffs were finally held a quarter without scoring. The fourth quarter, the Texans were down 27-10. It was time for the Texans to make something happen. As the stands got slimmer, the Texans found their groove. Jake Finsky would find Clifton Rhodes III for a 4-yard touchdown catch with 7:45 remaining in the game. Texans wouldn't convert the 2-point conversion, still being a 2-possession game. Something must have happened in the locker room because the defense came out very stingy, not allowing the Buffs to move the ball at all. Tarleton would waste no time with their next possession as Finsky found Leonard Myers running his post route for the 63-yard score. Myers would also cash a 2-point conversion, getting within 3 points, 24-27. Finally, it wasn't the other team coming from behind, and the Texans were showing they have fight in them. With 2:30 remaining in the game, the Texans would march their last drive of the game downfield. Finsky would complete 7 passes and hit Myers with the go-ahead score from 5 yards out. The extra point was good. Tarleton led for the first time in the game, 31-27, and that would be the final score. Finsky would complete 25 passes for a season-high 388 yards and 3 touchdowns. Myers was the leading receiver for the Texans, catching 8 passes for 168 yards and 2 touchdowns. Rhodes was right behind him with 7 catches for 134 yards and 1 touchdown. Zach Henshaw would break the century mark tonight, carrying the ball 22 times for 107 yards. Regal, who has struggled with ball security, had 13 carries for 37 yards and that early fumble. The Texans would put up a total of 560 yards on the night. They had 133 rushing yards and 427 passing yards in the contest. West Texas would rack up a total of 360 total yards with 105 rushing and 255 passing. It was the only team that head coach Kerry Fowler had not beat. He was 0-3 in his career against West Texas, and this was an unbelievable way to get that first win. It was the first time since 2004 that Tarleton has beat West Texas and 10 years since they had won in Stephenville. The Texans take their perfect record to Mississippi next Saturday to take on Delta State, who defeated Tarleton last season by 3 points. Kickoff is set for 6 p.m. This just in from the LSC. The Tarleton Texans are now ranked number 14, moving up 7 spots from their last ranking of number 21, and West Texas falls deep behind the polls. The Texan volleyball team fell in 3 straight sets Saturday afternoon to the San Angelo Ramblers. It was the second trip to San Angelo this year for the Texans, as they first went there for a tournament to begin the season. With the losses, the Texans' record is 2-3 at the Junelle Center. The Ramblers would win the first set on a 12-6 run. In the second set, the Texans battled back from a 2017 deficit, scoring 5 straight points. The Texans had a late lead of 24-23, but the 3 straight points from the Ramblers would complete the second set. In the third set, the Texans and the Ramblers were locked in at 10-10, but a 15-5 run would end the set and game for the Texans. As a team, Tarleton hit .059 with Katie Covell leading the team with 8 kills. Danielle Barker had 24 assists, while Emily Klein had 20 digs to lead the Texans. Their record is 9-7 overall and 4-2 in the LSC. Tarleton returns to action tomorrow night for a non-conference game when they visit Dallas Baptist at 7 p.m. Tonight, Tarleton, along with the rest of the country, will be celebrating Midnight Madness. When the clock strikes 12:01 a.m., the Texan ladies will take the floor, followed by the men showcasing their skills and preparing Tarleton for their upcoming season. With the men being tabbed at number 24 in the nation, I'm sure they won't disappoint. The doors will be open at 11:15 p.m., and performing the entertainment will be the band, Texan Stars, and the cheerleaders. 300 t-shirts will be given out for free, so be sure to get there in time. Johnny Football has lived up to his name once again. He was injured when landing awkwardly on his left leg after making a pass on the run during the Aggies' second possession. After crumbling to the ground, he went to the sideline, had a brace put on his left knee, and returned for the next possession. Late in the game, Manziel led on a 75 scoring drive while trailing 38-31. Manziel would finish the play with his second touchdown of the game from 6 yards out. Mississippi would go 3-and-out with Texas A&M getting the ball back with 2:33 remaining. Thanks to Manziel, the Aggies would pick up 3 consecutive first downs, a 14-yard completion to Darrell Walker, a 12-yard run, and a 13-yard run. 3 rushes later, the Aggies had a first down and enough time for Josh Lambo to kick the game-winning field goal with a final score of 41-38. With the Aggies giving out 32 points a game, you can believe that this won't be the last time you hear of Manziel's in-game heroics. With the Texas State Fair going on, that only meant one thing to most college football fans: the Red River Shootout. The Texas Longhorns would defeat their longtime rival, the Oklahoma Boomer Sooners. It wasn't the game plan that the Longhorns needed to defeat the Sooners. It was that sense of every analyst in the country bashing their players and coaches. An underdog with a chip on their shoulder getting ready to face the number 12 team in the nation. The Sooners, who came into the game as a 2-touchdown favorite, would lose the contest 36-20. Before the game, it looked that Brown and his Longhorn team would be buried in the ground at the Cotton Bowl, but it looks as if they'd stay alive a little longer. Brown said, "We're not in a grave. We are crawling out, actually. We have a chance." UT's defense held the Sooners to only 263 total yards and only let them convert 2 of their 13 third-down conversions. After a disappointing start to the season, a new defensive coordinator has sparked a tie for the first place in the Big 12 standings. Hitting in the Major League Baseball postseason has seemed to disappear so far. On Saturday, the Boston Red Sox, Detroit Tigers, St. Louis Cardinals, who are the top 3 scoring teams in the regular season, and the Los Angeles Dodgers combined to score 2 runs and strike out 41 times in 2 league championship games. The postseason general falls on good pitching than hitting. Most middle relievers aren't used, and managers rely on their best arms to win the games for them. But let's look at what has happened this October for baseball. 1 out of every 3 batters that steps to the plate this postseason strikes out or walks. That's a lot of pitches with no action. Saturday was the first day in baseball history with 2 1-0 postseason games on the same day. Total 1-0 postseason games in the past week, 3. Total 1-0 postseason games in the previous 11 years, 3. Batting average of all teams this postseason, a whopping .231. The Dodgers, Cardinals, Red Sox, and Tigers combined to bat 1 for 27 with runners in scoring position Saturday. If you like close, low-scoring games, you're in luck. 13 of the 23 games have been decided by 1 or 2 runs. Tonight, the St. Louis Cardinals and Los Angeles Dodgers square off at 7:07 Central Time. The Cardinals lead the National League Championship Series 2-0. For all you Tony Romo haters, you and him both got to sit and watch the big plays unfold for the Cowboys yesterday as they defeated a longtime division rival, the Washington Redskins, 31-16. Dwayne Harris of the specials teams returned a punt for 86 yards and a touchdown and set up another score with a 90-yard kickoff return. It was the first loss for Robert Griffin III in his home state of Texas. Romo had just 170 passing yards after throwing 506 yards last week. The defense lost to Marcus Ware in the second quarter, and the offense also lost to Marco Murray with a left knee sprain. Harris had 222 total return yards, and Kyle Wilbur forced and recovered a fumble on a sack of Griffin that that left the Cowboys needing just 3 yards for a clinching score in the fourth quarter. Dwayne did a fantastic job, Dallas head coach Jason Garrett said. Talk about making difference-making plays in the game. The Cowboys, who are 3-3, gave owner Jerry Jones a win on his 71st birthday and kept the defending NFC East Championship Redskins, who are 1-4, from building any momentum after a win and a bye following an 0-3 start. It's a great way to win a game, Jones said. Boy, we'll take it. Cowboys are first in the NFC East division as they are tied with the Philadelphia Eagles at 3-3, but have more division wins. Next week, the two teams will face off at 12 p.m. to see who can gain or lose the first place spot. The Denver Broncos are now the lone team in the NFL to stay undefeated. Yesterday, the New Orleans Saints, who were 4-0, fell to the late game heroics by Tom Brady and the New England Patriots. For 59 minutes and 50 seconds, the Patriots offense struggled to make any receptions, run right routes, or even give Brady protection. But just like that, we saw the old Brady come alive. The Patriots got the ball with 1:13 on the clock and needed to score a touchdown and go 70 yards. Brady hit Julian Edelman for 23 yards, then Austin Collie for 15 yards, and Aaron Dobson for 6. After being faced with a huge 4th and 4, Brady hit Collie for 9 yards, spiked the ball, and on his next throw hit undrafted rookie out of Cincinnati, Kimbrell Tompkins, with a perfect 17-yard pass for the touchdown with 5 seconds remaining. Denver, who ultimately beat the Jacksonville Jaguars 35-19, had some early struggles and mistakes that brought the Jags as close as 2 points in the game. Not until early in the fourth quarter, when Noshawn Moreno ran it in for the score, did the Broncos have any type of game security against the winless Jaguars. There was a lot of bad football out there, receiver Wes Welker said. We've got to correct that stuff and come out better next time. Manning went 28 for 42 for 295 yards, marking the first time he's been held under 300 this season. His 2 touchdown passes gave him 22 on the year, a record for an NFL quarterback through 6 games. But he also lost a pair of fumbles on bad exchanges from center and threw his second interception of the season, which linebacker Paul Peluski returned 59 yards for a touchdown to pull the Jaguars within 14-12 before the half. The Broncos will travel to Indianapolis next Sunday to take on the Colts, who are 4-1 on the season, and if you don't remember, Manning's old team for 14 years. That's all the sports I have for you. Thank you for joining me today on the Texan Sports Minute, where it's always about sports and all you need to know. This has been a product of the Texan News Service. You can read up on your sports or news at texannews.net or follow sports on Twitter at Texan News Sports. Special thanks to Alyssa Wynn and Landon Hastings for producing today. Have a wonderful day, Texans, and don't forget to bleed purple.